Here is another video in our series on building different types of A-frame homes. And in this one here, we will build a roof that will shed a little bit of the snow easier than in the previous example. And there were a few comments in the previous example that suggested what a horrible design it was. And I'm not going to argue with that. I'm just trying to provide different ideas in the video for people who might be building something like this. So let's go ahead and get started and take a look at our back wall. We are going to have a 2x4 wall in the back, a 2x6 wall in the front. And we're also going to extend the wall to sit on top of the roof sheathing. On the 24 and 12 pitch roof on the main house, we're going to have a 12 and 12 pitch on the garage. And again, a 2x6 wall here. That's so that we can put a larger beam in for the garage door header. And if you notice, we're going to have double trimmers here. You might even do better off with a post, maybe a 4x6. And don't bother asking what size lumber I'm using in the video because I can't provide you with the lumber sizes you're going to need in your area. If you've watched enough of my videos, you know that. And you can always make the back wall a 2x6 if that's something you need to do. And in this video, I'm not going to have a door coming from the main unit here, the A-frame, into the garage, and part of the reason for that is the drop that I have here. You can see the difference in the floor, and it looks like it's a little bit over a foot. That's going to create a problem for our door opening. However, I'm not about to suggest that you can't modify it to create a door opening from this side of the building into the garage. Next up, let's go ahead and install our rafter ties. If you want to install ceiling joist, you can. We're going to use rafter ties here going in this direction, and then some ties going in this direction. We're actually going to connect it to the rafters in the A-frame part of the home and run it all the way across to connect it to the exterior wall here to give it some support. We don't want the wall moving, and these braces will help with that. And of course, I have two of them flat, one here flat, and one on edge to provide you with a different example there of how you might connect them, along with how they might connect to the rafter ties. And here I had to attach a couple of blocks so that I could connect the brace that will be thoroughly nailed to the other support brace that will be sitting on top of the rafter ties. And you should attach all of this stuff together. End nail the flat board to the rafter tie, toe nail this board to the rafter tie, and again you can just end nail, drive some nails down through the 2x4 into the rafter tie, and then drive some nails through this 2x4 into this 2x4, and then some nails to connect the rafter here to the brace. And hopefully you don't need more information on that. I don't put a lot of nailing information in the videos. They're kind of more meant to provide you with design ideas. And I'm kind of going on the fact that you already know how to connect this stuff together. If you don't, I do have plenty of videos showing you how to connect everything together. And you can find those on our website. Let's go ahead and add our rafters. Again, a 12 and 12 roof pitch. And each one of the rafter ties will connect at 4 foot on center to a rafter so that we can get a nice connection all the way through here. Rafter ties are 4 foot on center. Our rafters are 16 inches on center. So every third rafter will connect to a rafter tie. And the rafter ties are used to prevent the walls from spreading and the ridge from sagging. And again, I do have more information on that at our website. So let's go ahead and put our fill in. Zoom into the bottom here to give you an idea how the rafters are going to be sitting on top of this wall here. And I went ahead and put my stud underneath the rafter since I'm going to have a single plate here. If you want to add another plate, then this wall stud doesn't need to be directly underneath the rafter. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at the ridge. And I went ahead and had the ridge sit on top of our support boards here. You can always have the ridge sit on top of the sheathing, but I went ahead and did it so that I could show you how these support boards basically go up and kind of form a peak here, where if I was to run this through and have it sit on top of the sheathing, I just wouldn't have this. And I would imagine some engineers would rather have the ridge sit directly on top of these support boards instead of the roof sheathing, especially if the ridge won't be sitting on top of a rafter. Next up, let's go ahead and head over to the other side. Give you an idea how the sheathing is going to kind of connect into here, run straight on through. And since this is a 45-degree angle, you could always shape the top of the ridge. That wouldn't be too difficult to do with a 45-degree angle. And of course, how the rafters will blend in, create a flat surface through the fill area. And our blocks, we're going to shape the top of the blocks. Again, not difficult to do with a 45-degree angle. However, it would be difficult to do for steeper roof pitches than a 12 and 12. And of course, our wall here, this will be our firewall. We're going to need to have a firewall to separate the garage from the living area. And if you're going to put a door from the garage into the living area, you're going to need a fire-rated door also. And of course, a better view of how we're going to use these boards here to connect to the 2x4 wall framing studs to provide us with some more strength to prevent the wall from moving in and out. And you can always space these braces closer together. I have them at 4 foot on center. You could use 32 inches on center to make it a little stronger. Next up, let's go ahead and add our fascia board and take a look at the bottom here. And I want to kind of give you an idea if you're going to install a soffit at the bottom and the soffit's going to come all the way across here, you're going to end up with kind of a different section here. And there are a variety of different ways to finish that. I can go ahead and provide you with some of them. Just let me know if you need more information on that in the comment area. And of course, our lookouts are going to be spaced 32 inches on center, and our collar ties are going to be spaced 48 inches on center. And try to line the collar ties up if you can with the rafter ties. And we're going to move the collar tie to the other side so that we can build our wall here. So instead of having it on the right side, we're going to put it on the left side so that it doesn't interfere with our drywall. Otherwise, we would have to drywall around it. And I don't even know if you'd really need a collar tie on this one because we do have the wall. A back view of this area here. And let's go ahead and take a look at the gap between the bottom of the fascia board and the sheathing. This will allow us to install roofing materials underneath this section of the roof. And this might require you to leave some of the sheathing off so that the roofer can install the roofing materials underneath this area here. It's going to be a little more difficult to do if you have the sheathing attached. A lot of times we'll just leave a board. We'll have a piece of the sheathing that might be this big here, cut separately so that the roofer can remove this section, install their roofing, and then reattach the sheathing, nail it off, and then install their new roofing materials over this section. And I don't know if I have a video on that. Go ahead and take a look at the other fascia board corner. The blocks and how they're going to attach to the rafter tie. You could always run the block past and have the rafter tie sit behind the block if you're looking for a different type of assembly method. And of course, our shaped fascia board. And we're going to have to do some notching here to make this side here blend in with this side here. Going to have to look something like this. Next up, let's add the roof sheathing and start wrapping the video up here. Roof sheathing, not too exciting. We've seen it before. And for those of you wondering why I didn't have a full sheet here, I was about 3 or 4 inches short at the top. Or in other words, if I used a 4-foot wide piece of plywood or OSB here, I would have needed to attach a 3-inch piece to the top of that. So for example, instead of having 48 inches here, I had about 52 inches. And if your engineer does not allow for something like that, for example, if they have a 2-foot minimum width, then you're going to need to do something like this here and waste a little bit of roof sheathing. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, let us know by hitting the thumbs up button. And if you have any questions or are interested in different types of designs for this type of construction, feel free to leave those in the comment area also.